it. All right.
Outsource
So
it.
yeah, what's our take then? I mean, right now the market. Let me give you a market update. I'm seeing freehold markets booming again right now. The last week has been booming, and I've been getting showings like crazy. And I have deals that are, that were sitting in August that have now sold. I got places that were quiet that are getting showings. I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing more activity now in the freehold market again.
I
The lull in September was there, but
I read an article this morning. Somebody was saying that like multiple offers are gone and the market's slowing down. And I was like,
yeah,
I don't think that's right. I don't.
no. So right now I'm seeing a lot of activity again in the market, and we've got over 50 listings. So I think that you should ask somebody who's got a lot of stuff out there. So I know what's going on in different markets, right? So it's not just one area could be hot. That's just the way it goes sometimes. But it's like when I'm talking to my partners and I'm looking at from Durham to York to Peel to Toronto, and it's like everybody's getting good activity. We're seeing a lot of activity. It's good.
Listen, I mean, it is so interesting to see how, okay, when things were good and everything was rocking back in January, February, it was one real estate market in Toronto. Up, 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 boom, boom, boom. Everything's rocking. Whatever you could think of makes sense. Go, go, go. Now, like, holy cow, if you're on like Main Street retail, like the whole Golden Mile is starting to come up for lease. People are bailing on their leases. You got Hudson Bay Company getting sued by their mall owners, landlords. It's like, it's really, if you're in retail, and then hotels, like what the fuck are they gonna do with all these hotels?
Yeah, for now.
For now, but listen, somebody has to carry this thing until for now is over, and for now is not over.
The big chains can though. The big chains can.
Well, I mean, listen, a lot of these big chains have multiple properties with crazy mortgages all over the place. There's only so much cash even the biggest companies have, right?
I get it. Yeah, I agree.
So, but how much longer? But I mean, okay. So, but then look, you could be like a low-rise residential specialist, and it is booming like crazy. You could be in new condo sales, and everybody's like, what the hell's going on? Is this going to work? Or when we launch this, is this going to happen? I don't know. The sky seems to be falling.
This weekend or next weekend.
Right?
What's the weather like? Yeah.
If you're in warehousing, right? It's like it's a fucking gold rush right now, right?
Yeah, the industrial stuff. I noticed a couple of things. I had to look at some stuff for somebody, and yeah, if you got a warehouse or any type of unit, it's over.
Well, if it's in a good part of town, like if it's in a good artery and it's close to the highways, holy cow, it's crazy. I don't know. My father-in-law, he's in furniture. He's booming. Like he was going out of business, and now all of a sudden he's like renewed his lease for 5 years. He's like, I'm making a fortune over here. Why is this shaking so much? But like, so really, I mean, and he's retail, so like furniture's going bonkers, but all this other stuff is going down the tubes fast. Restaurants. Although you do hear a lot of... Anyways, if the answer is what's your take on this thing, I have no fucking idea. Listen, there's more stimulus coming in. There's no end in sight. The interest rates are not going to go up.
Here's a question, though, for you. Do you see in the future...
Something has to happen at some point.
That the demand for land in Toronto can ever be satisfied?
No, not even short term. Like, what's short term considered? So, like, within the next year or so, things are going to normalize, I would imagine, whatever normalize is. But, like, I think we'll be able to, like, feel like things are more normal again.
Sure.
So, is that short term? Is that short term?
But look, like, we're talking about developments. We're talking about the freehold market. The condo market's already, got its issues, but we know that there's a major missing element here with students and businesses and all that stuff, which some of that will return, right? But I'm talking about the land. I mean, look at the developments that are going on already. Like we've got the developments now at Victoria Park and Eglinton, Golden Mile. We got the application submitted, Victoria Park and 401.
There's all
Land is
kinds of
just getting
stuff there.
swallowed up.
No, but that's all land that was swallowed up years ago by the big boys. Like that whole Golden Mile, these big boys all went in there, pushing the city to do a study because it's all commercial. It's along Eglinton. It's where all the LRT is. So for years, they've been going back and forth on this secondary plan for the Golden Mile, pushing for more and more. And they just got like 64 tall buildings approved in the secondary plan, and the landowners are like, fuck this is not enough, we want more. Hey,
Wow.
that's their job, this is what they do, right?
Yeah. So the Smart Center development, that's 5,000 units, and you're saying that there's a lot of other developers who own land.
Oh yeah, tons.
All those plazas are owned. Eglinton Square, all the malls, shopping, everything, that's all owned by developers.
Well, and not all, but I mean a lot of it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there's still tons of opportunities out there. Look, there's opportunities all over the place. People need to want to be in that area for whatever reason, and they have to want to buy it. So right now, transit is like gold. Anything near transit is gold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's an appetite for buying land. I just really think right now everything I see has got gigantic VTBs, crazy terms. Like there's not too many, other than like AAA deals that have probably been worked on for a year already. Like there's nothing really coming down the pipe that I can see, right? Nothing good. Like there's all fringe stuff.
What about on Shepherd West there?
Yeah, I mean, listen,
That's a good site. No, that deal, that's a good site, right?
It's a good site for somebody that wants to buy a small site in North York right now, not near transit, right? Which there's a market for that. There's a market for every property that's for sale, but you have to find the right person at the right time with the money that can actually do it, right?
Yeah.
And they have to see what's there. So I mean, there's a market for smaller, lower GFA interior sites. Not on transit, but it's not as big as on Yonge Street between Steeles and the lake.
The high-rise stuff too. Yeah, that's all.
Well,
those guys are ready to go. If you can find something that's a high-rise deal, that's a lot easier to sell.
Well,
on transit.
Again, depending on the price and depending on the terms and definitely, I mean, if you're close to transit and you're on Yonge Street and you're a high-rise site, it'd be pretty hard not to sell that thing.
Yeah. So now let's look at what the developers. I think what's changing right now. So we're in this huge revolution. We're using video more. We're doing podcasts. We're seeing people less. We're not shaking hands. We're wearing masks. Like there's just so many changes. So the developers are listening, and they're like, we can't just build properties the same way we've always built them. We can't just max out the GFA and have as many units as possible. Like we need to show people why they should come to our development by giving them outdoor space. That's not even on the ground because land is too expensive. It's an outdoor space on a podium or on a third floor, fourth floor, landing, terrace, whatever. They're doing whatever they can to show people, look, we're not only are you going to have that interior amenity space that everyone's used to, the
gym,
10,000 square feet, whatever it is, but we're going to give you now an outdoor space too that you can enjoy.
Yeah, I was looking at a plan that went into the city, and they had, not only did they have outdoor amenity space for the tenants, but they had like up at the top, it was an interesting use of the top level. They used the majority of the 12th floor as a co-working space. And then they even gave an outdoor like meeting / amenity space for the co-working space. So people could have, I guess, outdoor meetings, right? In a co-working kind of environment. So, I mean, that's one thing that's definitely going on right now is everybody in every industry, I think, well, not every industry, because I guess a lot of them have shown to be pandemic proof, but I think most things, especially construction and real estate, are going to start thinking a lot more of like, if this happens again, X, right?
Yeah. So bachelor apartments, I mean, what's the point in even making them? One bedrooms even, like, one plus den to the minimum,
but then
outside of the core.
Today, But like in 2 years, you're going to have a shortage of those tiny units again when immigration is completely open again, students are completely open, and all of a sudden, like you have to be in
Well,
Toronto
the,
again.
the thing is, when you're selling today, it means you need to meet today's needs. So if you're selling a development and you're putting in an application and you want it
Oh,
sold,
yeah.
you need to show people we're going to have 3 bedrooms, we're going to have 2 bedrooms, nothing under 600 square feet. They're going to do as much as they can because that's the appetite. And the investors think the same way as the end users. They're thinking, who's going to want to live in these bachelor apartments because we bought them 10 years ago and now they're vacant and we can't sell them. So we want to buy something that people are going to want to stay in and they're not going to be leaving.
I
And
think
that's what it is, larger units.
larger units for sure has to be a trend. I mean, I always look to New York City to see where we're gonna be, and 100, like you have 2, 3 bedrooms all over the place in New York City. Eventually, people need a bigger space, right?
Yeah.
And families can't afford 2.5 million for the house that they want, but they can afford
Yep.
1.5 for the 3 bedroom that they want, right?
Townhouses, right? More
Townhouses,
townhouses.
for
You got to
sure.
build in the townhouses to the bottom of the towers to allow people to have their own space so they don't feel like they need to go and get into a freehold property, that they feel like that's a good place to raise a family.
Yeah, and I think what I'm at least thinking about for my sites to be a little bit different and to use space a little differently. I mean, there there's a lot of interior space currently that does not get built. So for example, you could build this much square feet on a property, but a lot of it would not be able to be sold well as a residential unit, and it leaves a lot of weird space in the middle of the building that has no windows. But I
Yeah.
think now between co-working spaces, I think it'd be nice to have more kind of big rooms where people can watch TV with their families on a
Yep.
bigger screen where they're not in their little 1 bedroom and there's no room on the one sofa for people to
Yeah.
come over. Smaller spaces where families can get together with a kitchen instead of having to rent like this 3,000 square foot room for a
Yeah.
party to have like your parents over for dinner, like those kind of things, right? Virtual reality rooms for people to go into. I thought it would be really cool to be able to have an option to rent like an indoor growing like vegetable kind of like hydroponics
Sure.
kind of space where you had a
Yep.
indoor farm where you could rent space and grow your own
Yeah.
stuff.
Smart.
Like
Yep.
these are ways that you could take what used to be considered not worth building and make it like maybe have some revenue created for the building,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, or just make the attraction into the space. Question for you, because you're my development expert here. To be a mixed use property, the city of Toronto always likes that retail commercial space to be on the bottom. But can any of the GFA used on other levels be accounted for the retail commercial requirements?
Yeah, I think but they do like to have that street front stuff, right?
Yeah,
So you would probably
but they
be
could be
doing
smaller
it.
units, and you can apply some of the other GFA to that, or no?
Yeah, I mean you'd have to be creative in the visuals of I guess the main street facing retail and how that like it can't look like you've got residential on the main floor on the
Yeah.
main
Okay.
street. So
Yeah.
if I guess if there's a way you can do it that makes the city happy, for sure. But I think people are gonna want to pay more for more amenities. While I mean, they're only paying so much more for their share of those amenities versus so much more on the price of a place that has that space for themselves.
Yeah.
I
Like if
don't.
you did internet cafes, shared co-working spaces, that growing one, and you turn them into private enterprises, right? Then that becomes a little bit easier to manage, because that's the other element to all this too, Darryl. Is this building it is one thing, but being able to pass it off to the property managers afterwards and having the condominium corporation
Yeah.
keep it intact is a challenge, right?
Listen, I mean, between a cleaning company and an app that manages the doors being unlocked and locked and the time slots, I mean, there's not
Yeah.
much to manage in those kind of things these days. But I mean, those are the kind of things that people are thinking about now. Is how do I get people interested in buying in this environment now, where there's so many people in such a small space, right? And
Yeah.
listen, there's no way that all of the people that used to be able to afford condos want to move into houses anyways. A lot of people like living in buildings for whatever reason, right?
Yep,
So there,
absolutely.
we hear about this whole exodus, but I mean, it's really not that many. I mean, we're probably hearing stories about most of the stories that are actually happening, right?
It's not an exodus, it's a non-enterus. We aren't having these new streams of people going into the condo market right now, right? But the typical people who are leaving the condo market and going into freehold because they're looking for more space, yeah, maybe it's happening a little bit sooner, but they're all the same people that it would have been happening to eventually.
Right. There's very
They're
few
not,
people that are like, I,
yeah.
wow, like I need new
Families are
space.
growing, jobs are whatever. There's things that happen, but yeah, definitely not the single 25-year-old guy is all like, hey, wait a second, why did I buy this condo? Like, I need a place to,
I need to,
park my RV.
I need
You
to be
know?
able to plant my tomatoes.
Yeah, like what's going on here?
What the
This
hell?
this balcony just doesn't have the right exposure.
This was a bad
So,
decision from the
bad
start.
decision.
And now, all of a sudden, not only do I need more space, I can
Yep.
afford more space. How did that happen?
Interest rates, boom. So let's
Boom.
just wrap it up because we got a small window here. Um,
We got a hard
just
6 minute stop.
if there is there anything that you are in particularly concerned about or that you want to bring up?
Are you asking me or are you asking
Well,
our fans?
no, you. So I like how they were talking about the slowdown in the rent because they're analyzing all the monthly rental averages, and they're saying that we might have hit that bottom on the rental decreases. That we might have got to the point now where the price floor, right, could be approaching. So
How?
the decrease in rent is slowing down dramatically, month
Okay.
over month.
How? Why, are people renting all of a sudden?
Well, sure. I mean, eventually there's a point where people go like, all right, well that was 2,500, now it's 2 grand. That's a good deal.
Right.
It's the landlords who are not accepting the new rental prices that is flooding the market. That's the truth.
But
If
they're,
you're not priced within the market, and you're like, well, I was just getting 2,500. I'll give me 23. Guess what? You're going to sit there because there's somebody out offering it at 19,995, and he's getting his tenants, right?
yeah, but there's also another thousands of units coming on the market. So yeah, the guy's willing to take 1990 today, but then if all of a sudden that balance in the market gets even worse, then that 1990 becomes a high point.
So
I don't see a reduction in the amount of listings happening right now or
okay,
anytime soon.
median rent prices across the 24 largest cities in country. They analyze hundreds of thousands of listings.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's had relatively flat months in terms of rent price changes. Toronto one-bedroom rent decreased 1%, while two bedrooms grew 0.8%.
But this can only happen so long. Like people can only hold on for their price for so long as the market is continually getting flooded with more inventory, right?
Yeah,
All of a sudden, you're going from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 15,000 to 1 in 20,000. I mean, that doesn't bode well for pricing. But
sure. But what I'm trying to say is that maybe we are starting to see things flatten out. That people are still needing to live places. Yeah, there's a ton of inventory on the market, and what we're seeing, it's very anecdotal. Like the averages in Toronto are like whatever, they're going up and everything else. But I know buildings that are down 10 to 15, maybe more percent. Like I know them. I've seen
oh
them.
yeah,
I've watched the identical units sell for less months later. So
they're out
I
there.
know I know that it's out there. It's just the stats people haven't really got a hold of it yet to be able to say this is what's going on because there's just too many variables. So the average or the median is really not getting hit as hard as we know it is. But at the end of the day, um, the market is what it is, and you have to accept it. And you got to have proper guidance to be able to maneuver around and get from where whatever you need to do. If you need to, if you're a landlord and you've got a property right now that's not renting, there are lots of options. We've talked about them before. Securing a lower rental rate based on a higher per month, but spread it out evenly. So you throw in an extra couple months rent. So then at the end of the year, your rental rate is still going to be the higher rate that you were charging before. But because you threw in those incentives, it
That
means that they're paying less over 12 months. And if they decide to stay and the rental market heats up again, you are still going to be getting reasonable rent.
well, and that's the problem. Is if they decide to stay, you
Yeah.
right? But like the reason that you're even talking to them is because now it is at the price point they can afford. Later, it will no longer
Exactly.
be in their price point, right? If you're
Exactly.
signing something for 1900 for the first year and next year it goes up to 2500,
Yep.
you're not staying.
No, but I'm telling them it's $2,000 a month, but I'm only charging you 16. So you're going to sign the contract at 2,000. Here's the rent free period,
Yeah.
and just spread out your payments. Give me the checks for 1,600, no problem.
Yeah. No,
Right? But you're agreeing to 2,000, and at the end of the year, I'm gonna be expecting that 2,000. If you decide to leave, no problem. I'm not here to hold you hostage.
yeah.
I just want to let you know at the end of this year, the reason I'm giving you this discount is because of the market conditions.
Yeah.
So you got to work the best you can. If you are owning several of these units, look at what your goals are, look at what your long-term projections are as far as how much equity you've built up
The problem is
since you
that
own the property.
there's so many people out there that were making like $50, $100 a month, thinking like they've hit the jackpot because
I'll
they
survive with this.
no,
Yeah.
but they watch some asshole on YouTube telling them as long as it pays for itself, it's a great investment. Just go out there and make sure that you don't lose any money every month, and it'll pay itself off for the next 25 years,
Yeah.
unless there is a global pandemic.
Unless
Okay.
somebody eats a bat in Wuhan, China, that's the only caveat to this operational strategy. I get it.
But now all of those people that should not have been doing what they were doing are going to get swallowed whole by these big funds that are putting together a ton of money right now, waiting for the real bottom of the market.
Yes.
And like you could see a lot of the inventory evaporate from like one or two companies. If I was able to raise a few $1 billion right now, I would wait for a point and buy 2, 3,
Yeah.
four
If you had a
thousand
private REIT
condos.
or any real estate investment trust, that would be a pretty smart move. Pick up some
Absolutely.
single family residential condos.
Just a ton of
Yeah.
condos that like
Yeah.
I know in a year or two are going to be platinum, like better than
Yeah.
gold.
And there'll probably be a better cap rate than what you're buying those apartment buildings for, because those are impossible to get a hold of right now anyways, right? So these guys are overpaying on those. You might as well get a deal on some single family stuff, and 5-10 years down the road, you're going to have some really good dividends. But
I think it
that's a
makes
wrap
sense.
for today, Darryl. So I appreciate your
Boom.
wisdom and your expertise
Yes, I put on my wisdom hat today.
and your thorough research into what's going on in Toronto. I know there's lots of people who are very thankful for all that.
I feel that you are being slightly facetious, but I love you.
Why?
No, I'm
You did
just
some
kidding. Did I do
you
some
did
research today?
great stuff today. Yeah.
See, this is that maybe that's why I think you're being facetious, because all I'm doing is reading the news every day and putting aside a few articles.
You know stuff too. You got good intuition. You know things that's not in the news, and that's what helps you,
That's right.
right?
But it's all because I'm wearing a hat today.
Must be the hat.
It's the hat.
All right.
All right.
We'll chat with you soon.
Go sell some real estate.
All right.